can lead to various risks for the organization from various angles, be it data security, privacy, etc. Then the other big piece is that a lot of these AI models are being trained on a lot of personal data. And hence data privacy becomes a very, very critical component around ethics and governance that each of the organizations has to focus on. And the third thing is that since they are trained on data, if the data quality and the data is not very diverse, then there's very high probability that the output of these models starts discriminating, and it's not very transparent. So there are various aspects around data governance, around transparency, accountability, etc., which needs to be built in and thought through as organizations are moving forward with their AI adoption journey. And there has to be a governance which is no longer just a technology team. And as Rajat mentioned, now we have to look at a cross-functional team which comprises of your technologists. You also need your HR, your legal, your data privacy, and multiple other stakeholders to be part of this AI governance to ensure that, that the right thing is being done and the right amount of training and testing is being done as and when we are adopting AI in our various processes.
Yeah, thanks for that, Pallavi. I think that's super important for organizations to drive adoption and make meaningful revenue outcomes of that. I know, Naren, coming back to you, touched upon previously about the data, and I think often said your AI is as good as your data. And just now, Pallavi also touched upon the importance of personal data protection and many other aspects of it. And I think that you've been in the data business for quite some time. I personally know you, but the data definition itself changed, right? It's no longer structured and everything is data, right? How organizations should start thinking about building a strong foundation with the governance, which Pallavi mentioned about? What are the strategic steps we need to think about?
Thanks, Jit. So again, I'll quote some learning I've done. This is from Professor Karan Garotra. He's at Cornell. So about last year, we had the opportunity to interact with him and learn the possibilities of Gen AI. And he used one abbreviation or phrase, so to speak, that stuck with me, like BCA, MCA. He said DCA. So what is DCA? Data, compute, and algorithms. So that's at the core. Now, data is the one key component. And Jit and I know each other at least 17 years, 18 years now, when we were working for a e-commerce company, eBay, long time ago. So there are digital native organizations, non-digital native organizations, and the quality of the data significantly varies. And people throughout my career have been saying data is the oil. Sometimes it is oil, refined, but sometimes it is crude, right? And now we have various versions of that data also coming our way. Now in terms of how should we look at this critical data component to generate insights or for decisioning or whatever, one significant part that is nothing new is the foundation of data quality and data governance, which he also alluded to. So what's new? The newness is the nature of this data. It's become more unstructured, text, images, videos. That is also not as new because we've been on the social media. It's been now 5-7 years, but it's evolving. But again, what is more new is the technology, the way we are extracting the information from this unstructured data. So if I do something like human is extracting the data, or deterministic rules are extracting the data, meaning I'm codifying, like we do in Excel long time ago, string, substring it from character 10 to 15, right? Deterministic rules, I clearly know how am I cutting the data. Or I'm using traditional ML or deep learning. Now that became little traditional, though it's a newer technology just 5-7 years ago because Gen AI 10 quarters came and thumped it away. But now I can use Gen AI also to extract the data, right? So now Gen AI has performance is not guaranteed. There could be hallucinations. If I'm extracting data from clinical text, if I'm extracting data from doctor prescriptions, if I'm extracting data from X-ray images, and using some of that information for maybe automatic claim processing or a fraud detection, these are complex, critical environments touching the customers at the moment that is very important to them in their lives. So can I use Gen AI in that kind of context? So we need to, therefore, context sensitive. We need to be aware. How are we extracting? How are we using that information? Is Gen AI extracting and Gen AI using? Human extracting, Gen AI using? Gen AI extracting, human using? So all these combinations are possible. Based on that, we need to put the controls in place in terms of taking care and making use of that particular data.
Okay. Yeah, Anna, thanks. I think the foundation meaning itself is expanded beyond a point. I think organization has to take care of that. Also, thanks to agentic AI we are talking about, it's no longer data engineers, some data scientists, analytics. We need to have a significant software engineering cusp into the core AI, not just to deploy from pilots to production, but also continue to maintain and manage your tokenomics and other thing. Anand, if I may come back to you, from your perspective, what are the set of things which need to be looked at with the complex, I mean, I'm leaving the terminology aside, AI engineering, AI ops, DevOps, blah, blah, blah. So what are the set of things which we need to be taken care while building these AI capabilities in GCC?
When we have those AI models, when we need to deploy it into readily at scale and ethically, AI engineering is very important. As a GCC leader, along with technology, we also need to foster ownership and accountability of the use cases. We have to promote the product mindset. We have to bring the importance of AI engineering to our global leadership. Strategic roadmap is very important, and have to have hackathons, challenges. Feedback loop is very critical. Now, when this all things goes, your current approach like SDLC and DevOps, that also has to be evolved. And DevOps will, I'll double click on DevOps. DevOps will be your agent op. Now, what is agent op? It's basically your DevOps plus trust plus autonomy. Now you don't need to just monitor the app is up or not. You also need to monitor the behavioral drift, right? You have to make sure that you constantly train, procure, fine tune. You have to have a human in the loop. You have to have a guardrail and a fallback logic when things goes wrong, and have to make sure that things get end-to-end done. And very important thing which I always say is that we have to move from FOBO to COBI, meaning fear of being obsolete to confidence of being indispensable. That is going to help both AI engineering as well as the leaders. Thanks.
Yeah, that's actually a good term to catch, and all of us can carry from here the conversation, and thanks for that. Often, every enterprise is going through this journey of AI, and workforce transformation is the biggest topic everyone talks about, right? I know we keep looking at all the reports saying we need 100,000, 500,000 AI experts overnight, maybe, if I could say that. So Pallavi, if I can come to you, what are the workforce transformation from a workforce that exists in enterprises today? How do we transform? What is important? Is it still computer science, engineering, software coding? Is it important? Or maths? Or maybe now we keep talking about empathy and others. So how do people think about when we do this workforce transformation in your view?
So Jit, I mean, and maybe I might be kind of saying something which is not aligned with what most of the industry and the media is saying. There is a lot of buzz around the fact that a lot of the repetitive jobs, the BPO services, etc., will get replaced with AI. To a certain extent, yes, that will happen. AI will be able to replace a lot of these repetitive jobs, and also replace or at least augment a lot of the work which the software development teams typically do. But I also personally believe that we are still a far way behind in terms of completely eliminating these roles. So yes, AI skills are going to be important because now there are a lot of accelerators, tools, etc. available, and if the workforce starts using it effectively, they'll be able to become more productive. But at the same time, I feel that as some of these repetitive tasks get replaced by, say, an AI agent, etc., there will be a evolution in terms of the very different kinds of roles and skills that would be needed, because eventually to create these agents, you still need humans. It's not that the agents will get created on its own. So that's where the evolution has to really start happening in terms of how organizations have to start thinking that what is the new skill set that is needed, and start training the associates towards it. So for example, many of us are using ChatGPT, etc., and a lot of these Gen AI platforms. Now, the outcome or the output you get from these Gen AI platforms is dependent on how you're prompting it. So prompt engineering is something which is a new skill and will become very, very critical, because eventually to train these models, you need to prompt it correctly, and you have to prompt it in very different ways because every human thinks differently. So that's kind of a skill which comes into the mix. Same way, when it comes to agentic AI, we are saying that a lot of the repetitive workflow will get automated through using agentic AI. But then workflow, so see, RPA was there earlier also, which used to automate a lot of these workflows. But now what we are saying is that using agentic AI, a lot of these workflows and automation will be able to think differently. They will be able to think like humans. But how will they think like humans? Unless and until you tell them that this is how humans think. So that's where the skill set is changing and the evolution in terms of the workforce skills and the competencies is going to change.
That makes a lot of sense, by the way. I think all of us have the access to same technology, but whoever can do a better prompts can deal with it. And you're making humans still relevant, so maybe next year I'll still have a moderator job, I guess. So thank you so much. Maybe Rajat, if I can come to you quickly. We talked about, I think Anand touched upon, Pallavi also touched upon in terms of hackathons and getting workforce ready. But beyond these things, what else organizations can actually look at an ecosystem that can help to ride this AI wave? It's just in front of us, but there are probably a few steps required to meet there. So what do you, in your perspective, needs to be done?
It's very important to look at it from a different context here. And that's possibly a culmination of what Pallavi said, what others have said earlier. When something as potentially powerful as this comes in, we have to reimagine the sense of responsibility the creators and the consumers both have. From an ecosystem perspective, AI today in that space has a place for everyone. The technologists, the AI, ML, data engineers, behavioral scientists, marketing, product guys, core SMEs. Everybody has a huge space today to be involved in that space. That alludes to your question, Jitin, about what is the ecosystem. The ecosystem needs to evolve just beyond what we have always called industry academia, augmenting adjacent pools of talents, getting PhDs, subject matter experts, institutes, different ilk of people coming in, because AI is evolving. It's very powerful. It's going to be humongously powerful as we move ahead. Yet, I remain very hopeful that if there is a sense of responsibility both from creators and the consumers in using it carefully, we have a very bright future ahead. That's it. Something that we have done as a framework within our organization is we've looked at AI, and I've been a practitioner since late 90s in that space, from very infancy of AI to where it has reached today. When we adopted, we kind of put 3 phases in business context. We said AI first was assistive AI, and there is a 3 AI name that I look at the right, so if you guys are going to use it, you might as well give me some royalty points on that. We called it assistive intelligence, then we call it the phase of augmented intelligence, before the hugely responsible phase of letting it be autonomous intelligence. AI has multiple perspectives. If we rush from the first to the third stage, a lot of risks are involved and there are a lot of bottlenecks, but it is evolving at a rapid pace. From practice perspective, when we've really implemented in some real clinical challenges, we're looking at AI potentially giving us the opportunity to not just solve a point problem, but completely reimagine how we do work today. We've done it with some very deep clinical stuff where we are possibly going to change the way cancer is detected completely in the industry. Now, when you look at that, by just using the human breath, if you can diagnose at a split second, like a glucometer can today on your sugar detect 80, 90 prevalent cancers in real time. Technology that has that potential has to be dealt with a lot of responsibility with all stakeholders involved.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I know that already 2 buzzers are there before they cut the mic. Let me quickly take the opportunity to summarize what we're talking about. I think building AI capabilities is a journey. As we heard from others last few minutes, building the data foundation and taking care of the responsible AI is very important for sustenance and thriving the organization. And don't look at AI, just picking on Rajat's point, as an incremental, but rather a transformation way to reimagine entire your business processes. And also touching upon, the capabilities needs to be built, software engineering, AI ops, agent ops, and many other pieces. I know it's a long journey, but I guess forums like this will help us to exchange information. I also end with what Rajat said. It's both creators and consumers has to come together to drive this. It's not one-way street. I hope you all enjoyed this session, and looking forward to see many more lessons from this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tech transformation and AI at McDonald's. And for this session, I would like to call upon Sharma Sonti, Global Resource Optimization Leader, McDonald's, to please join us on stage. Sharma, with 25 years of rich experience in global workforce strategy with leadership roles at CVS Health, GE and Paraxel, having an MBA from University of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand and let's welcome Mr. Sharma on stage. Thank you so much for being right here. I'd like to leave the stage to you to take the session forward.
Thank you. Can you all hear me back there? All right. Everybody please stand up. No, I'm just joking. Only she can do that. So first of all, I'm honored to be part of this discussion and the panel today. And what I'm looking to do today is talk about, at a very high level, how I think about talent being very critical to our go-forward strategies in this new world. So in that context, I'll give a little bit of background in terms of what I have done in the past so that you have a sense of my background. So over the last 25 years, I do consider myself as a strategic resourcing leader globally. In this process, across a variety of industries, I've had the chance to work through many countries, many geographies, and set up operations in Argentina, Brazil, Hungary, Poland, and variety of locations globally. And India has been very critical as a part of that activity. And as you can imagine, India always played a very important role from my footprint strategy perspective. So what I do at McDonald's today, I'm the global resource optimization leader. And what that means is I get to think about workforce strategies at scale for all of tech capabilities for McDonald's. So today's theme, you'll see me straddling between how I think about tech transformation and modernization, but at the same time, how are people at the center of it? How do you continue to think about talent and capability building at the core of it? And how do you put people first while there is a lot of talk around modernization, transformation, and so on and so forth, right? And I've been through this journey for about 25 years. And some of you, I know I have met you outside. Some of you have been part of the GCCs before. And does anybody remember part of GE? There used to be something, the term called LCP, low cost pole. So from that point, some of you, I see a show of hands, from that point to offshore delivery center to all kinds of names, and now we've all to GCC and innovation hubs. So we are in a different landscape right now. So given that, so you'll see me straddling both worlds. So one thing that I can say is I don't have to sell the McDonald's brand today. So I saw that my colleague had asked all of you, you shared your experiences, so I can tell you what we are. We are providing feel-good moments through our food. And I would say being part of the technology organization, it's powered by technology. The fact that any of you ordered with your app, or gone to a kiosk or a touch screen, or went to a restaurant, all of that is powered by tech. And I'll share a specific anecdote that I had. When I joined the company, I thought that this is just a burger company, right? My visual was that we place an order, somebody is flipping burger in the back and handing it over to me. So as an employee, we get to go to the restaurant and actually build our own burgers. So the first week, I built a chicken McCrispy. And when I went back with the crew, I realized that there is significant amount of technology back there. Can anybody take a guess how many pieces of tech equipment could be in a McDonald's store? Random guess? 10? So somebody said 10, somebody said 19. It's 200 pieces of tech equipment in a McDonald's location. So I said, wow, that's a lot of technology. So when any of these things in terms of standardizing the menus, standardizing the offering, getting the service on time, all of that is tied directly to the efficiency and the tech that's supporting it. So there's a lot of tech that is consumer facing. And on top of tech, there's a lot more tech in the background from an infrastructure perspective to make sure that there is distributed cloud computing, data, cyber, and all of that making this happen. So in order for us to think about this, you heard my colleague Deshant talk about 40,000 restaurants, 100 countries, and 65 million served daily, right? To make that happen, we are thinking about technology at scale. So when we think about technology at scale, we think about 5 platforms. We think about the consumer platform, where we are building a single global app which will serve everybody. And that's where we are thinking about a cloud-native tech stack and about 250 million loyalty users that we are trying to bring. Our restaurant operations modernization is going to be very, very big. And that's where we are leveraging edge computing. And the power of edge will allow us to create innovative use cases in the form of Gen AI for Crew Copilot. Also, it will take us down the path of the variety of other technologies that we can innovate on. So that's on the consumer and restaurant side. And then on the enterprise side, we are actually looking at continuing to build efficiency around our HR and finance transformation in place. So all those 3 platforms, while being the core, the underlying theme is securing the arches, where we are trying to make sure that cybersecurity is in the DNA of all these technologies that we do today. And the tech transformation is an overarching veneer across these 4 boxes, where we are looking at people at the core of it and say, how do you nurture, manage, reskill people and provide careers to them to be successful? So where are we on this journey? On this journey, we are doing a great job. We are stepping the ladder of success. We've gone through addressing our legacy models and moved from a siloed to more of a standard platform-based thinking. And from there, we are driving engineering excellence and getting ready for the AI-enabled. So while the tech teams are continuing to do that, I am wondering about what should our workforce strategies be looking like? How do we evolve them? And that is where our global workforce strategy comes in. When we thought about the tech transformation a couple of years back, we called it digitizing the arches. At the same time, we talked about how do we insource or how do we change our global workforce strategy. And we started with 2 locations, Mexico and India. And in Mexico, we have a large portion of our engineering talent, which is product-based. and coordinating with US employees and US product teams. And the India Center is going to be very, very critical for us in making sure that we have all capabilities ranging from cybersecurity to data, AI, and cloud computing and all of the areas. So Hyderabad remains very critical for us. And while we are looking at workforce strategies, one of the things, the key point that I want to emphasize today for this audience is that what I've realized is advancing our workforce strategies is not an exact science. While we can think about static models, we need to move from static to more of a dynamic labor resourcing. As the skills change, as the needs change, how do you dynamically plan for resourcing? How do you provide attractive careers to people as things keep changing? How do you think about global leaders emerging out of these locations? And how do you think about creating a culture that is seamless? You heard leaders talk about, don't think about GCC as an independent activity. Don't think about GCC as a separate location, right? But how do you make that seamless is the onus on leaders to build that capability. So while those softer aspects are being addressed, that's going to be critical for the success of the organization as a whole, while AI continues to come in, right? And I'm very excited about India being the center of what we do today. And as we have heard, and I'm not going to go into all of this in detail, roles will be replaced, right? We need to keep thinking about how does the combination of the human and agent workforce work in tandem and deliver what we need for the future. So consequently, what do we do at McDonald's in the area that we are talking about? So the areas of ranging from reskilling to upskilling to managing a balanced workforce, right? So we believe in McDonald's giving a career path for all of our employees, a culture that supports what's important to the talent, offer opportunities to build a meaningful career, and lead the future of tech innovation. So while we have talked a lot, and I've gone through a complete picture on what's our tech journey, what's our roadmap from a transformation, what's our roadmap from a modernization perspective, and what is our talent strategy looking like. In this journey, what I realize is I have to leave you with a few thoughts. A few thoughts to ponder as strategic workforce leaders is, this is the time to think hard, think right. And I believe it's a very complex problem in terms of balancing both worlds. We continue to invest very heavily in modernization and transformation. I believe we don't invest enough in people-related strategies to drive outcomes. And to that end, my proposal is one has to foster a human-centric culture alongside AI. That's what will drive the readiness for people to continue to adapt, be resilient, be dynamic to the changes that are coming in. Allow for organizational adaptability and flexibility. Don't be monolithic and siloed in your models, right? Think about how adaptable you are and how are leaders empowering everybody else to be adaptable and flexible and not stick to old models, right? And how do you make sure that, one, you're driving the change, but you're also part of the change, right? So if there are any takeaways that I want to leave you with today, is these thoughts, food for thought, food, McDonald's, right? So the food for thought for you is, how do you think about people first? How do you think about people at the center of this while all these technologies are changing and while we are driving all this value? So with that, I will leave you. My time is up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. Requesting you to please remain back on stage. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I would now request Mr. Kishore Bora to please join us on stage to hand over a memento as token of appreciation and capture a moment with Mr. Sharma. Let's hear a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. in AI research, evidenced by his numerous patents and publication. And we are extremely delighted to be having Karthik here this wonderful afternoon. A hearty warm welcome to you. To all the dignitaries on stage, thank you so much for your wonderful time. I would now leave it to the moderator to take the discussion forward. Over to you, Namita.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Namita, and I'm going to be speaking to some esteemed guests here. They come from a mix of industry, services, consulting heavily into data and AI. So, before I start, I'm going to ask all of us to imagine, 3 to 5 years out, how would it be that you're in organizations which your next 1,000 workforce is mostly agents? How would it be to think of it that, there is a mix of humans and agents working where agents are not just getting tired, their productivity from the morning, start of the day, and there is no end to the day, right? So are we ready for that change that organizations will need to pivot towards? Second, think of it that your organizations need to have org charts that a team leader at the top is an agent, because generally, who's a team leader? Somebody who performs better, has better outcomes, can be doing jobs and decisions that are faster. But you know what? The agent is going to be doing that. So are we ready for org designs where there is a non-human lead at the top, right? So with these two, the third question that I'll leave the room at the start and probably we'll get the answers in the discussion is, if this is the journey we all are seeing happening at a pace like in last 18 to 24 months, there's an immense change the industry has seen, and the acceleration has been like nothing before. So with that, what are these foundational journey steps that we need to take to get to the two questions and be ready for it? So I'm going to have this talk with the panel here, and there's going to be two sections. The first section, there's one question to each one of them, talking about their industry, their organizational journey, and also their learnings in last 2 to 5 years, because that's where significant changes are happening around. And the second part is going to be like a quick fire round, about 1 to 1.5 minutes, that they're going to answer some takeaways for all of you, given that they are professionals and deep SMEs in their own right. So my first question is going to be for Kishore.
Sure.
Kishore, you're you as in you, and when I say you, I'm going to refer to your organization. You were born out of, sorry, this is getting into my mouth. You were, one second. It's getting into my mouth. So you were born out of crisis of 2008, right? And today you are disrupting both the work and the workforce like never before. So what are you seeing that has significantly shifted in the work and workforce models? That's one. And second, if you see organizations who are doing better in the, this journey management, what are those crucial disruption steps they are, proactively managing that you're seeing others are not? To you.
Thank you so much. No, I think the aftermath of 2008-2009 financial crisis, I think that's purely coincidental for us. I don't think we planned anything around ProHands with the crisis. It was just coincidental, but I think it was very timely, and I think the solution like ProHands actually when we got going, of course, what we started in 2009 and what it is today, I think it's changed leaps and bounds. We've also kind of evolved over the years. But I think the fundamental principles behind ProHands always remain the same. I think the idea is, if you take the 2000-2009 period, I think it was all about the financial crisis, budgets got tighter, people wanted to achieve more with less, people embarked on lean transformation projects and things like that. And for us, the idea was to really help organizations get a visibility into their workforce and understand how their operations actually got done. So that was the whole premise with which we started, and I think that's how we had the initial success and kind of built over it over the years. And I think for us the two key points takeaways were one to get the visibility and do it in real time. So that I think was again a big challenge, because most of the organizations we saw then were typically after the fact kind of analytics, but I think what we did was we actually gave them real analytics as the transactions happened. So that was the 2009 journey for us when we got going. But I think now what we have seen is the work has become more complex. the work has definitely become more complex. It's human agents now. And I think a lot of customers who are coming back to us now are also asking us of new challenges. One of the things that we did, in fact, just in Hyderabad, like a couple of days, we had a meeting there. We were presenting how people are actually adopting AI. So AI adoption index is what we are publishing to our customers, and we actually show them how their AI usage is actually impacting their productivity now. So that's a wonderful. Currently, we're doing a very loose correlation. Of course, we're going more deeper as we have a product roadmap in that direction. But I think what we are seeing is that the initial value that we are seeing from this whole measurement system, I think that's becoming extremely. We are very encouraged by the the reactions that we've been getting. And wherever I've attended in any conferences or any of these events, and this is an ask from everybody. Now, while I'm making so much of investments into this, so I think organizations staying focused not just on the strategies, but also defining the new metrics. I think that those days are gone where people are measuring on FTE savings and things like that. I think now it's all about, it's like the volume to velocity and how you're able to actually create more value and capabilities. I think that's, become the new measure. So for us also, I think the challenges have just gone up. Simple productivity measures don't work anymore. I think it's more complex, and it's a more consultative-led model for us at this point of time.
So how many of these, like you said, the vanity metrics, probably some of the organizations are still trying to showcase to the rest of probably their peer industry, and a lot of them who are like publicly listed versus privately held, they want to show to their boards what they're doing well. They want to, to talk good to the, the public what they're doing. But what are you seeing that on the ground, organizations who are really doing some tough talk internally? Are they seeing, associations of their metrics to their outcomes, and they're able to, showcase and also broad-base that to an enterprise-grade kind of, thinking?
No, I think it's I think I heard from some of the speakers a little earlier. I think no, it's a very what should I say? It's a very complex kind of situation right now in terms of how do you really see the value? How do you measure value? I think is when everybody has their own way or nuances to measure value out of this. I think I would like to answer that by saying like there are 4 principles behind the measurement, right? I think it's very important. What we want to see is there a leadership commitment? I think visionary leadership in this journey, I think, is extremely critical. Second thing is how people are getting skilled. So digital literacy is a big driver. So I think organizations focused on that are able to see a higher value. Third, I think, is also, somebody mentioned a lot of POCs are being done, and we see a lot of experiments actually failing, experiments succeeding but not moving forward. So I think local innovations and innovations to scale, I think, are the third piece I would say is extremely critical. And fourth, I would say, if we really want to turn global, I think also to have that global mindset and global influencing capabilities, I think, are very critical. So I think organizations which have actually focused on those areas, I think, have really taken a much better steps forward. And I think we are only supporting our customers in trying to take this journey forward. So we are really like co-partners in the technology space to drive this strategy.
Sure. Ashutosh, my next question is for you. So 2020 is such a pivotal movement for Cigna. You not just launched a new platform, it was Cigna's big bang entry and rewired India's play in how Cigna was looking at the global presence. So 2 parts to my questions for you. The first part is, what was this transformation about? Because this was such a big step in the journey. But also, how did data play a backbone? And you lead data and AI COE, so how did it play a backbone? And the second question is, fast forwarding to where we are today, how do you see the journey from here to next 2 to 3 years, and the real blockers, not just for yourself, but industry at large, to enterprise-grade AI, because it rests on data analytics in a big way?
Thanks, Ramita. I think you asked a lot of questions in one question. Before I start, I want to thank 3AI and HYSEA for setting up such a wonderful event in Hyderabad. Thanks, Kapil and Prashant. So if I break up your question, one is on the Cigna Evernorth journey, then how it went for last 1 or 2 years in the agentic or the Gen AI area, and how we see is going for next 2 years, especially on the data part you want me to cover, right? Okay, so Cigna was set up in Bangalore in a couple of years back, but in 2020 it actually got started getting traction lot of hiring happened in Bangalore, and we set up the international health market there. Evernorth is a brand of Cigna, which opened in Hyderabad in 2024. Previously, I was the site lead for Bangalore, and then I moved to the Hyderabad as leading the AICOE team here. I still remember I hired my first employee in early 2024, and I was figuring it out how to write an effective prompt to extract some data. And if I fast forward 18 months, we have gone through a lot of solutions, which is data extraction, IDP processing, claims, and different companions for the healthcare industry. And now we are trying our hands on agentic AI. So in my 20 years of career, last 18 months, I have seen the most fastest time I have seen, like, zoop. I can never imagine what happens in last 18 months. Things have changed, technologies have evolved, new things have come up, right? We have now a lot of LLMs there. So this is the fastest growth I've seen in any industry in last 20 years of my career. Coming to the AICOE function of Evernorth Health Services, we lead AI with a lot of inclusion, where we make sure no employee is left, and everyone is empowered to use AI or develop AI. We work with a lot of operations team, technology teams. We enable them to use AI, develop AI, and using low-code, pro-code frameworks. Now, a couple of things which I see as a challenge in general for the GCCs. The first one is the agentic AI sweet spot. What that means is we have to really figure out the right use case of agentic AI. We can't put agentic AI everywhere, right? So getting the right use case is the first step, right? Like repetitive processes which needs real-time solutioning or real-time, autonomy, which systems can take decisions, right? So those are the typical cases for agentic AI. Like, for example, end-to-end claim processing, dynamic pricing, prod support, right? That's a typical use case where you can actually do a lot of agentic AI work, right? So these are the couple of areas. First, we have to really get the right use case. Once the right use case is there, the second challenge which is related to this use case is dealing with the age-old systems, right? A lot of GCCs actually have the old legacy systems, and there is still a challenge really to, integrate the agentic things, the agentic framework with those legacy systems. We don't have the APIs. We cannot directly talk to the data there, right? So that's another challenge, right? And data are also in silos, different formats, and the data is not ready to be used in agentic AI solutions, right? So data, now, again, that's a debatable thing. Now people says with this whole AI coming in, we can even modify data. We can clean up data quickly, right? But still, you need data. You need proper data governance there, right? The other challenge which I see still in a lot of places, I hope my voice is clear, right?
Yes.
It's audible, right? So people talk about, start building the agentic AI solution, but still, I see in a lot of corporations, the basic ethical framework is not there. We first have to think about setting up a proper framework to make sure we do the ethical AI. Proper guardrails are set up to make sure we are done with our data privacy and data security thing, right? Because this also brings an important question, because right now we are sitting, right? In 2026, you will actually see a lot of agentic AI solutions are working on systems, right? If anything goes wrong, who takes the responsibility? Is it the developer? Is it the external data source provider, data providers? It is the business units, or it is the deployment team, right? I mean, we have to be very clear on the responsibility side. That's the other thing which I see. One more thing I want to touch upon is the platform side, right? Buy over build, right? This is a debatable topic, but a lot of things happening outside, right? If you get the right platform, right tool, right technology, I would suggest to buy it rather than really building it. There is no point of reinventing wheel. There are a lot of small good corporations which are building a lot of good solutions, right? We try to reuse those rather than building end-to-end solution for us. Right? So these are the couple of the things which I see as a challenge. Talent is
I don't see talent as a challenge. We have a lot of people. The only thing is we have to reskill them. We have a lot of data scientists, machine learning engineers, software engineers. But what we really need now is a full stack agentic AI engineer, like who understands the neurosciences of LLM, understands the reinforcement learning, understands the ML ops, understanding, the ethical piece of it, right? So all these things to be reskilled. That's the couple of things which I see is a challenge, and we see how we need to resolve it in next 1 or 2 years.
So the last point you said is, I'm sure, of interest to most people in this room, that you said talent is not a problem, but getting them to that level where you can have some of these breadth skills, right?
Yes.
More of T kind of a talent. How do you get there? Because saying it easy, you can build great, repository of learning artifacts in the organization. You can give them right experiences. But the way technology is moving so fast, and at the same time, the pace at which people need to learn isn't, I think, matching up. So
that's the mindset we have to change, actually, right? And in fact, it's happening. I see especially the new, new engineers who are coming in. They're open to everything. They are ready to learn the programming. They're ready to learn these ML ops. They are also ready to learn doing some front-end work, right? Ready to learn the prompt engineering. And that's the skill set. A mix of skill set is required. Because if I see 3 years from now, a person should be self-sufficient to build the whole agentic AI solution, deploy it, manage it on production, rather than having a team of 10, 20 people.
got you.
If I can add to that
Sure.
question, right? Because it's 14 minutes, I doubt if I'll get a chance to speak. So I thought I will try to
Your
create
turn was next.
to create a space for myself. So on the talent, right? Agentic solutions are mostly software engineering problem, and India is known for software engineering talent. So it's just to make sure, right? Hey, this is your space, right? And people are already picking it up. The second aspect where I see some more thinking is needed is such a fast evolving space. If I take an example, right, in most of this generative AI agentic problem, context is a string. But now what we are saying is, no, context need not be a string, but it could be a combination of multiple things, and it could be a Bayesian framework fit into an optimization. If things move so fast, it's extremely hard for everyone to move so fast, right? It's not practical. That's where partnership is needed, right? A lot of GCC leaders are here. They have to partner with the right things. It could be niche analytics providers, or it could be academia, it could be anything, so that as they do things, they are not reinventing the wheel. They are also making sure they're benchmarking with whatever is latest is happening. Second point I kind of differ from him is there's a lot of already buy options. Unfortunately, the buy options are becoming technical depths very soon because this is moving so fast. You rather try to keep trying open source technologies available, and today whatever you buy, tomorrow could be a burden. So maybe have a sweet spot, right? Do some building in-house as well, because that's needed for you to kind of stay up to date on what's happening.
Actually, we have to thoughtful on this. Like, we have to be careful.
Now she's going to interrupt, saying, where is my time? But go ahead, sorry.
No, I agree with you. We have to make a cautious decision, like what to buy over what to build, right? That's a balance we have to strike out.
Got you. I'm an agent. He was supposed to be third. I heard his voice, and I am giving him a pass. So no, let me, Karthik, get the question for you. See, there's also, that's probably, I was telling you at lunch, it's a personal question as well, that, Tiger is a name that, you hear in most rooms when there's a serious talk going on, data, analytics, AI. So one, it's not just, I think, luck. There is something more at the back, right? And was that strategy right there at the start from 2011 when your founders decided? Or was it like, a good naming pundit who named Tiger, who's going to roar, was probably destined to happen? Just, before we even get to your question, just talk to us about that.
Yeah, on the name Tiger Analytics, there's no thought, I think. Founder had 3 names kind of folded, and then his mother did a Inky Pinky Ponky and picked Tiger Analytics. So there's no complex things there. And as an org as well, right, we have kind of kept it simple, kind of being mix of reactive and proactive to what happening in industry, because it started as an AI first company. 2011, we were doing Bayesian, we were doing computer vision, we were doing all AI stuff. Eventually, we become a data and AI because, boss, where is the data, right? You can do POCs with whatever data you have, but for you to build enterprise scale solutions, you need data in place. Our data engineering practice kind of massively grew over the last few years. So that has funneled, and I think everyone has this problem, right? That you need to have the right data in place. The second aspect where we, again, stick to basics is, for a lot of the solutions to work, you need data. You also need underlying statistics. Because, for example, there is already McDonald's overdosage here. Let me add a little bit more to it, right? If McDonald's, right,
Actually,
let's say...
after this, we're all going to eat McDonald's today.
Exactly. So it's a franchisee-based business, right? Let's say there is an owner of 10 stores who wants to analyze, right? Hey, what's happening to my stores? Why there is a decline in number of transactions and all that? First of all, there is data needed. And two, what is driving to this, right? There are a lot of these driver models. This cannot be learned by generative AI. This has to be learned from statistics. Now, there are the statistical models. They have to be agentified so that this agent can call a statistical driver model. Then, okay, I'm going to make a price change. What is going to happen to my sales? There is a forecasting agent needed, right? Still, those basics are needed to solve problems which will impact top line, because a lot of people are talking about efficiency, bring down the workforce, do more with less, right? I would say do a lot more with more, because you have so many people, right? We need more jobs. So you rather focus on top line impact, and for that you need to be closer to business and fundamentals like statistics, data, right, to kind of back these agentic solutions.
Okay, thank you. And probably I'll come back to you after
Okay.
Madhuri.
Yeah, please.
Madhuri, 3 million square feet campus coming at Hyderabad, which is going to be second after US for Google. 25,000 employees, that's what I read, and you tell me, it's great to hear that, because it's not just scale, it's like a power move by the company. But how do you really, it's a provocative to probably patch to the question, let me say. Today went scale, and that was the topic to our conversation, scale and impact. So how do you justify a location as huge when we are almost thinking that, let's look at so many different work models and productivity, etc. That's one part of the question. And second, you're at the center of Google's ad universe, right, where it's AI is in practice, and it's all about throughput. It's all about going from process optimization to outcomes which are much more orchestrated. So what are you seeing that Google is doing in terms of already fast forwarding into the future when others are trying to catch up to the past?
Firstly, thank you for invitation. It's a privilege to be part, so thanks to 3AI and HYSEA for this invitation. And it's a fantastic thing to be in Hyderabad and talk about the Hyderabad city and Google. What else would you ask for? Once a Hyderabadi or a Hyderabadi for life. I was born, raised in Hyderabad, so this is a city very close to my heart. We're very excited about the Google campus coming in Hyderabad. It's going to be our flagship, one of our flagship offices, and like she said, like Namita said, globally this is second to some of our headquarter buildings as well. And when I say the flagship office, it's not about the physical space, it's not about the head count, what we are investing, but it's actually our strategic commitment to Google's future and how we can build for the world from India, from Hyderabad as well. And what we truly commit from Google and what we are really looking forward, because Hyderabad has always been a city known for innovation, technology, and expertise. So we really want to ensure that Google Hyderabad continues to build on that foundation. And we've heard a lot today about how we are going to leap into the future. The future is going to be very different. We've all had all the words, right? Like extraordinary future, exponential future. So I'm really looking forward to that. And Namita's question on like scale, how can scale and productivity, all of these coexist together? I actually think that scale actually empowers AI better, because AI thrives on vast amount of data, world-class talent, and some complex real-world problems. And I feel that's what we have here in India, that's what we are trying to solve for the world. So that way actually the scale itself will truly empower what we can solve with AI.
And I'll give 1 or 2 examples from Google, right? So we have launched our AI-powered Performance Max campaign. Earlier, an advertiser had to choose their bids, budgets, and multiple other things across search, YouTube, display to figure out. Today, all they need to do is come to our Performance Max campaign and tell us what's your objective. Let's say my objective is I want to improve my cost per acquisition, or I want to decrease some of the ROAS or improve the ROAS. So if they come up with the objective, and I'm going to use the word which Namita also said, right? It's not anymore optimizing the campaign. That's what we used to do in the past. But here we're actually, the AI itself is orchestrating the campaign to ensure that the customer's goals are met. And I'm in the same boat as what I feel is I actually think AI will enable more growth. Because if, imagine the entire book of the business, if you're able to truly enable the AI, so that's our Performance Max. Other example is our Gen AI creatives. We have small, medium, large advertisers. Think of a bakery in Hyderabad. How often do they have resources to generate one of the high-end creatives? Any advertiser, no, even however small they are, they don't lack ambition. They only lack resources.
And the bakery competes with McDonald's.
Yes. And so I think what they need is resources, and that's what we have, the capability with Gen AI, our ability to truly create creatives at scale. And because this topic comes up often, I just want to leave you with one thing, and we've heard a lot today about experiments, compliance, what about do you need to control? Here's one line I've always believed. Compliance and control are not enemies of innovation. Because especially in the AI era, compliance and control, actually they build the foundation. Trust is very, very important as we go ahead. So the 2 phrases I often tell my team is disciplined experimentation, controlled deployment. Because when we go to production, I think we've all spoken enough, right? Right accuracy, right safety, and is it reliable? Did we do red teaming? Did we break all the biases? Do everything you can control for the deployment. But when you're experimenting, experiment with the right discipline set of here are my principles, here are a few things I'd like to fail fast, here are a few outcomes I see. So all in all, I'm really looking forward to our Google Hyderabad campus, and I really think scale and AI will coexist together.
Thank you. That's a good one. I'm sure people in the room who are Hyderabad based especially, they're going to be looking forward to that building. It's going to be state of art is what I hear. Yeah. So question back to you. So you, and probably, you can also chime in, Kishore, you consult with a lot of companies, and what do you see are their readiness in terms of their journey? Because from a data to AI journeys across the industries, is it more, some industries are more complex than others, or it's more organizations who are more, their own journeys which are, at the intersections of AI readiness, but at the same time, the foundations are not as strong. So what's your take?
I will let him go first.
Sorry? You can go first. I go first? Okay. No, I was actually, when she was talking of Hyderabad, I thought I was in 2 minds to interrupt and say, Bangalore is, we thought that's what about Bangalore, yeah. But I didn't want to get a big bad from him. Because everybody talks of Bangalore, everybody talks of traffic these days. So I thought, okay, let me stay away from that.
Welcome to Hyderabad.
Yeah, that's on the lighter note. But I think, I think the question can be answered in so many different nuances again, right? I mean, if you really look at it, I think there are organizations at different stages of maturity. And I think sometimes the organizations also are probably doing, I mean, if you look at the way the technology has evolved, I mean, I've seen organizations which are at a very early stage of RAG models thinking they've actually reached their, peak in a way, or rather they're doing a lot of experiments, they've not really moved to the next. And then we see tool augmented, technologies in place. Now, of course, agentic AI and all of that. But I think if you really ask the organization in terms of what level of maturity have people reached out, I think it's a very difficult measure to make. I think what's important is the roadmap for the organization around AI should be very clear. I think that's very important. And I think how you measure around this roadmap, I think is also very important. So defining the right metrics and controlling all those metrics around that, I think is also going to be very important. And I think, of course, the governance and all that, I think many people have spoken about it. That's it's a given thing. So I don't, again, as she said, we don't question that's part and parcel of the journey, right? So having said these things, I think the key focus, I think where people are really struggling, and I think that's what we see is actually the talent, building the talent. I think for Karthik's point that he made, I think it's while you're investing in the talent, you also have to be, conscious of the fact like the talent is also working a lot of Gen Z kind of talent, and it's a different kind of working style, and we have to see how, I'm just, when Cognizant is doing a lot of work around vibe development and things like that. And you hear new terminologies every time. So actually, to the point, where do you start and where do you end? I think it's extremely difficult times to really kind of benchmark where you are and where you can start. I think the new normal is being set every month, actually. So I think we started to the point, I think the gentleman mentioned is like, we are actually experimenting a lot of open source technologies ourselves, and for the same point, what they mentioned is that we don't know if we get stuck with one commercial model, we get stuck with them, and then the investments will, not pay off. So I think for us, we are perpetually in the, experimental zone at this point of time, and trying to share those experiences with our customers. So I don't know whether I have a straight answer for your question, but really this is what I am seeing as a landscape in front of us, actually.
Sure. Karthik?
I'll make it short because a couple of things which differentiates a mature organization versus someone who's kind of scratching their head is one, conviction to make it work, because this is 95% accurate, not 100%. But it will be 100% in some pockets for now, it will become 100% in future. Conviction to make sure, keep trying, make this work, right? It is not, I'll try this POC, another, and after a year I give up, right? Versus, okay, this is the business case, this is what I'm going to solve. I'm also practical on what I can achieve in 6 months versus what I can achieve in 2 years. That maturity and conviction is what really differentiates someone who is evolved versus small. And Tiger kind of caters to that entire spectrum, right? We also kind of guide them on what should be the path, right? So that they are, after 3 months, right, if they're frustrated, they're going to say, oh, Tiger did not add value, right? We rather be upfront, say, hey, be sure on what you want.
So Matri, you want to talk about?
I'll just build on what Kishore and Karthik said. He talked about the clarity of the roadmap. He talked about the conviction to make that roadmap happen. I'll just add another 2 words, right? I think to make, like what you said, happen, every industry is going to be at a different maturity journey every month. So I think the 2 other words I would add is mindset and ensuring that our talent is absolutely world-class to make it happen. Once we have clarity and conviction, you also need the mindset that we will no longer be a center of expertise, center of excellences, we will be center of intelligences. Intelligent orchestration is what we will all do, and I think ensuring that having the right mindset so that we will become a center of intelligence, and empowering that empowering our talent to own the end-to-end ownership.
Thank you. Let me just add, I think, just 2 words again. While I think AI is not the end solution, right? AI is a catalyst to where you want to go, but I think the key really is the skills is the real engine, actually. So while AI is a catalyst, skills is the engine. To reach those final goals, I think if you focus on these 2 things, actually, especially on the skills, I think that's the most critical thing for organizations to succeed.
Sure. So I thought we were given 30 minutes, but I think the timer was for 20. So we'll kind of wrap it up.
Told us this panel has to be the best, so that's why it's turned out to be the best.
Sure. So I think what I heard, 3 things that I'm able to take back for the audience here is conviction. As everybody said, you have to be relentlessly following the pursuit of the journey, and the destination is going to keep shifting, because today we are following one thing, but the journey has to be relentless. And second is the skill set. Ashutosh, you mentioned an amazing point that invest on your entry talent, because with the work models getting changed, there's a lot of hybrid still in picture. There's a natural pivot towards here and now and who is in front of you. So entry talent for our audience, please invest on them, coaching, mentoring, and making sure that they are very smart talent who needs a bit of hand-holding, and then they're great. And I love, Madhuri, what you said, disciplined experimentation and controlled execution. Is that
Controlled deployment.
Deployment, yeah. So that's for the panel here. Thank you so much, and thank you for the panel here. Thanks.
Thank you, Namita.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
hosting
Namita.
us.
Well, once again, a big round of applause for all our panelists and our moderator. Thank you. Wonderful discussion. I would request you to please pose for a group photograph. Let's capture a wonderful moment. While I would also request our moderator to please hand over memento as token of appreciation to all our panelists after giving a picture-perfect smile to the camera. Indeed, I must say it was a very knowledgeable discussion. Thank you so much, dignitaries on dais, for making it so impactful for all of us. Well, also I would request Ramakrishna Linga Reddy to please join us on stage to hand over memento as token of appreciation to our moderator, Namita. And let's capture a wonderful moment together as we capture a group photograph. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, once again, our heartfelt thanks to all the dignitaries on dais. Thank you so much for your valuable time. And we now move on to our Spotlight Talk 5. Unlocking full potential of AI in GCCs. I'd like to call upon Saurabh Sharma, Chief Operating Officer, ProHands, to please join us. Mr. Sharma, Operations Leader with 25 years of rich experience across GE, UBS, and Dell. Well, also, he is a Six Sigma Black Belt and also an IIT Delhi alumnus. Let's give a big round of applause for Mr. Sharma. Thank you so much for your valuable time right here on stage. I would like to leave the stage to you now to take the discussion forward. You're welcome.
I think I'll start with a story. About 10 years back, I was at a IT and BPO services major, and one of our banking clients was, and this was the RPA era, so we had a banking client saying, you know what, where are the bots? It's been 6 months, where are the bots? I want to see how many have you implemented, right? So we were challenged. We went back, put our heads together, took out the SMEs from the floor, got the BRD set up, rolled out some bots. Some gave maybe a couple of FTEs benefits. Some gave maybe 15 FTEs benefits. But by the end of the year, we realized that there was so much of fear and disruption that the RPA wave created. And now, I don't know how many of the organizations still have a RPA COE or the automation COE or the citizen developer bot or whatever it became, right? But yeah, the learnings from that, I think we should look at from what we are doing today in the agentic AI era, right? So I'll share some of my thoughts and happy to take questions. I'll start with a trivia, right? 97 is when I joined IIT Delhi MBA. Around the same year, we had this Deep Blue versus Gary Kasparov, and he lost. So that was like a revelation to a lot of people that, hey, the machine could beat the human, right? Again, he said, AI won't replace humans, but the humans who use AI will replace those who are not using, right, AI. And then fast forward to July 17th, I don't know how many of you noticed that actually Magnus Carlsen beat ChatGPT on chess without even losing a single piece. I don't know if there are any chess aficionados. But we are amidst a global AI wave, right? You heard the previous fireside chat as well, and the entire session and the theme today as well. I feel that we are, few are surfing. Mostly, I think we are still paddling in shallow waters. The paradox of AI adoption, right, and taking the cue from the RPA, story that I just shared. This is from a good friend, Rajiv Gupta, BCG. He says, 83% believe, and he did a survey about 6 months back, GCCs primarily. So he says 83% believe that Gen AI actually boosts productivity. 39% are actually using it, right? So the dichotomy is there. 70% have started the pilots, but only 5% have scaled them. So the experimentation to actual production with all the hallucination or whatever, the reliability, etc., right? The biggest point is, and there are humans in the loop, right? So you are talking about people managing these bots, right? They're managing these agents. Previously, it was humans managing those bots, right? It was always assisted bots. Here also, you might have a scenario, and we've been discussing that the people running agents or super agents running agentic AI. So the mass training programs that are being rolled out for upskilling aren't really working. The impact is hard to track, and there is a big skills gap. So we rolled out a survey of our own, in conjunction with Zinol. Those of you know, they're in the GCC field setup. So we rolled out for 27 GCCs, 56 leaders, and close to about 111 employees. So we said, let's understand where the gap is coming from, right? So whether, we started asking from a survey and interviews that are the employees actually using, how often are they using? So while the leaders said, 30%, the employees were actually using 74% of the time, right? So there is a dichotomy there. So the leaders are underestimating the usage actually, right? At the same time, are we tracking the AI usage, right? In terms of, hey, I have provisioned the licenses, but is that actually being used, right? So 51% are tracking both the output, the productivity, and the quality of these agentic AIs. The employee says almost 40% are not even aware that this is being tracked, right? The ROI is being tracked. So tracking the processes may lack that transparency or the communication, right? We always say change management, you need to have communication as the bedrock. So I feel there is a gap there. Then we said, what about the proficiency? What do you think? How much with the leaders as well as the next level in the pyramid? So 88% immediate, intermediate, 6% are experts, calling themselves experts. From the employees, it's 0%. They are still not experts quite there. I think there is a gap there in leadership, overestimating the expertise that people have on the ground. The impact on satisfaction or the engagement, right? When you're rolling that out, 60% believe that it is beneficial. And that's more or less, I think 63% agree. So there is an agreement from the top leadership as well as the employees. The last point is impact on efficiency and outcome, right? So we've been talking about people experimenting, investing, again, pretty much the same amount of licenses and whatnot, the tokens, etc. But the impact is still 64% feel it is beneficial, none feel it's essential, and then the leaders may undervalue the AI's critical role is the underlying message. So what do I want to lead this with, right? And my good friend Kishore, he's the CTO and co-founder of ProHands, so we keep on debating that how many, have we ever wondered how many people on the team actually use the AI licenses that you've provisioned? So in your dev teams, you would have provisioned Cursor or whatever. Are people actually using it, right? And where is really the disconnect coming between the promise and impact? What is really holding us back? So some of these pointers, and no surprises out there. Everybody spoke about in the fireside chat also about the data skills. I feel there is a merit to look at AI adoption. And why is it important? Obviously, any successful implementation depends on the visibility, engagement, and ROI, right? I feel that we should move towards like a AI adoption index, right? Start looking at, what's the depth of usage in your teams. Start looking at where is actually AI contributing towards productivity. Has it enhanced that productivity, right? Look at how many employees from your population, month over month, week over week, really are using and getting upskilled on that. And, those usage patterns will drive, eventually the outcomes, right? So we came up with like a framework and we were debating. So this is what I feel is a 4-step framework. You could have your own. But I think the tracking the usage on AI adoption with the real-time visibility on actually using the tools, as well as what's the adoption pattern between teams, right? You might have provisioned licenses for all. The next piece is more critical, driving the behavioral change. So first and foremost, you need to identify where are the points of friction coming from, right? I mean, we had the RPA wave, the same kind of noise, people will lose jobs. And the same narrative is out there in the newspapers and media and all the companies. But please identify the points of friction, right? And then with that, you start customizing your change management, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all. So capture the disengagement analytics, again, using AI or otherwise, and start driving that. And the last point is most critical, right? How do you quantify the ROI? What is your investment, total cost of ownership? What are the benefits that you had? People say 50%, 15%, what's the right number? And